Um, we have been to Chauvigny this morning, and I've taken my glasses back. I wasn't looking forward to it. I was dreading it really. I don't know why. I just thought it feels really um, it feels really wrong to be able to take. They were expensive. They were an expensive pair of glasses. To take them back and exchange them and not have to pay because you don't like them, not because they don't work, not because they're faulty, but because I don't like them. It was really odd, and relatively straightforward. So I've chosen new frames very similar to these, but probably a little bigger and more like the sunglasses that I got. So and I should have them in 10 days' time. So I was just astonished, just astonished. So it was nice to get that over with. We went to the suitcase shop that was closed last week. It's a cobbler's, a Cordelier. I think it's Cordelier, Cordelier. Um, and he'd got a big um selection at the back of the shop, and we've come home with 3 suitcases. I know we're not going till May, but we need to practice packing for air travel because we've done Ryanair before, but normally for short trips across, and you've just had a bag that just about fits their hand luggage thing. So and we'll be going to Normandy, and I said to Mark that what we need to do is we need to pack as if we're going to Canada, so he can only take what he can take in maybe the carry-on, and we bought a bigger suitcase and 2 carry-ons, so because the carry-ons are a good size, and I don't think he could visualize that. So um he can now because we've bought one, two two carry-ons and a suitcase. Is that the cat or is that a chicken? We're not talking to the cat. Oh Jesus. We're trying to siesta after lunch, so we sort of slump on the sofa after lunch, and she meowed on and off for 45 minutes because she wanted a door open. She's got her own fucking door. Um, she found her door once I gave up, and I helped her find the door. I think she knew what was going on. So yesterday I watched something called The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and I think everybody should watch it. I think it is something that you should watch if you've not already seen it. I realised partway through that I had seen it before, um, but actually watching it a second time, I think it was published in 2020, so this 2 years on. Watching it a second time for me was very telling in light of what happened at the Capitol building in January 2021, was it? And in light of various other things that I've come across over the last couple of years, it really um, was quite telling. And there was a part in the program, it's a Netflix program, documentary. It's an hour and a half. I've got a chair in my way again. Oh, the noisy, horrible chairs. Um, it's an hour and a half, and probably about an hour in, um, they talk about they're talking about algorithms all the way through, and we all talk about algorithms. We all sort of say, oh yeah, it's the algorithm, why is my Facebook like this? It's the algorithm. But actually, and the algorithm isn't a person. The algorithm is a computer. The algorithm is how a computer has read data about you and compiled a picture of you and compiled a map of how it thinks you think. Which is why I get so pissed off with Facebook sometimes when I want to look at the comments that somebody's made on a particular post, and it hasn't shown me the comments, and it offers me the relevant comments, and I'm thinking, how the fuck do you know what's relevant to me? I get angry. So the algorithm is not. You can't say it's evil because it's a computer generated it's AI, it's all thingy intelligence, artificial intelligence. But actually, what it does and what is happening to is that the algorithm is fed by, ultimately, or initially, the algorithm is fed by techs. Techie people create the algorithm. Techie people tell it what to look at, tell it what to do if it sees something like this, tell it what to do if it sees something like that. And they look at Google, and this I hadn't remembered from last time, so I found sort of quite revealing, is that if you're in a certain city, or even if you're a certain person of a certain group who has interests that are more perhaps left wing, if you Google in anything, but for the example they use is climate change, and you start to Google in climate change is, and you get suggestions. So if you Google in climate change, you could get a completely different suggestion or suggestions than I do, depending on your political bent, depending on the stuff that you've been looking at before, depending on, what you've searched for before. So even if you are searching for the same term, the same thing, you may not be given the same answers. In fact, you will not be given the same answers. And the consequence of that is that we've become polarized. So we've been divided into groups of people who look at one thing and groups of people who look at another. And every time we look something up, we're fed stuff from this bubble. And when someone from a different perspective, a different persuasion, a different a, a different ideology puts that in, they're fed something from this bubble. And so you never see, I don't see what's in this bubble. I don't see what you're looking at in that bubble. And you don't see what I'm looking at in that bubble. And we've become polarized. And I think that an example of this, which I can't actually give to you, but that I know very well, is that my sister and I, my younger sister and I, have, in some of our views, become incredibly polarized. And that is because I am looking at stuff in one, but I've said to her that we're in different bubbles, but now I actually understand how we've come to be in those different bubbles. So she's looking at stuff online that doesn't fit with what I believe, and I'm looking at stuff online that doesn't fit with what she believes. And so I'm fed more and more of that, and she's fed more and more of what she's looking at. And we become polarized. We're managing it. And we're managing it, and managing it better after spending time with each other whilst I was over there, because we weren't managing it very well before. And I think that we've agreed that there's certain subjects that we can't talk about, and that's fine. But actually we've become polarized. And one of the people that they're talking to in the documentary is, I'm going to say this, is someone that if you came across him in the street or you saw him pontificating somewhere, you would probably dismiss him, because people like me, fat people, get dismissed. People that don't fit can sometimes get dismissed. And he is big, and he's got big, long grey dreadlocks. It's not easy to stay with him, but he is incredibly intelligent and he knows what's what. And he talks about his fear that now this was in 2020, remember, his fear that what this will lead up to is civil war. And what I am seeing in my bubble in America is those potentials for civil war. What we saw at the Capitol building was practically a civil war. And yet there are people that think that was okay. And are they those people in that bubble? I guess they must be, because the people in my bubble thought, fuck, what on earth do you think you're doing? So I really recommend that you watch it. It talks about Facebook. It talks about how manipulative Facebook is, and we know that several years ago that Facebook unethically performed an experiment on some of its users and only allowed them to see more negative posts and affected their mental health, which is fucking disgusting. And I'm not actually sure they've been held to account for that. But that Facebook can manipulate your newsfeed so that you only see stuff that it wants you to see. And they did it as an experiment. I know that they won't, I don't think that they'll do it again, but they could do, you know, and we're here, we're watching, we're all on Facebook. All of our preferences, all the things we click on are closely monitored, are closely accounted for, and all add to the algorithm, and we know that. And it's like TikTok and YouTube and Pinterest and Pinterest and Instagram and all of those are all using your data that you give them to create a picture of you. And it's very telling, and I can't say any more because I'm not able to regurgitate it verbatim. But I recommend you watch it. And what else? That's it really. I'm going to go back to Facebook. But YouTube's the same, you know. I get loads of crap come up on my YouTube home feed because sometimes I do watch the crap, but it's like, okay, I don't want to watch any more of that. I don't, you know, it's like, but if you, on YouTube, if you click not interested, not interested, not interested, sometimes they bring it back. And it's like, but I told you I didn't want to watch that. They just don't give up. They're just persistent. I think we're all sucked into it now, and I don't know how you can remove yourselves. I don't know how you can, but you can probably tone it down somewhat if you don't. It's like, where do I get adverts? I don't get adverts because I use Advoca Plus, which I pay for, so I don't see adverts. But on Facebook, the sponsor posts, if you go into the sponsor posts or click on them and it goes, why am I seeing this? It takes you to a page of choosing what you want to see. Well, I'd like to see things about this, and and then you're giving them more data. So I just ignore them. I just let them go because I'm thinking, I'm not going to give you more information. You can fuck off. So yeah, watch it. The Social Dilemma. And I'll put a link into the description. And I think that's it for now. I'm a bit tired because we didn't sleep because of the bloody cat. So I'm not talking to her. Okay, have a good day.